Have you ever fallen in love with a check or a striped fabric and talked yourself out of buying it because matching the pattern felt like too much work? By the way, I'm Sarai. I've been sewing for nearly 30 years and helping people build meaningful custom wardrobes for the last 15. Even experienced sewists avoid these fabrics because pattern matching feels intimidating. But once you know a handful of techniques, it's far more manageable than you'd think. Today, I'm sharing the 5 tricks I rely on most, so the next time you see a check or stripe you love, you actually buy it. So this summer, I've been building a mix and match capsule wardrobe, and I decided to make 2 of my pieces, the leaf boxer shorts and the fern blouse, in the same black and white gingham. And working with a check like this, where the pattern is so graphic and regular, really made me think about where I wanted those lines to land. Because when they do line up, it just looks so intentional, like you really took care with it. It's often impossible to match every single seam in a garment. And if you go in trying to, you'll exhaust yourself before you've even gotten to the fun part. So the question I always start with is, which seams actually matter? And the answer is usually pretty obvious once you think about it. That's tip number 1, prioritize which seams to match. I'd start with center front and center back first because that's where people's eyes go. That's what they see first. Then sleeves, then side seams, shoulders last if you can manage it at all. On the fern, the raglan sleeves and all that gathering at the neckline kind of made the decision for me. When a seam is heavily gathered, the fabric is bunched up anyway. There's no clean line for your eye to follow, so matching there just isn't going to read. The pattern basically narrowed my options down on its own, which honestly was a relief. On the leaf shorts, center front was the obvious place to put my attention. I think that's the real mindset shift here. Pattern matching is something you apply where it counts, not something you have to do perfectly everywhere. Give yourself permission to decide that, and the whole thing gets a lot less stressful. And if you want something to help you remember all of that in the moment, when you're standing at your cutting table with fabric in front of you and trying to think about where to focus, I put together a free pattern matching cheat sheet that walks you through all 5 of the tips I'm sharing today. It's a quick reference you can keep right at your table so you're never second guessing yourself mid-project. You can grab it using the link in the description below. The next tip is one you've probably seen on ready-to-wear garments without ever realizing it. And once you know about it, it's going to save you a lot of trouble on those fiddly pieces that are hard to match up. Have you ever noticed how on higher-end ready-to-wear shirts, some of the pattern pieces are cut at an angle? That's bias cutting, and it's a classic move that draws attention to the lines of the fabric instead of obscuring them. It turns a potentially fiddly matching problem into a deliberate design detail. And that's tip number 2. Cut some pieces on the bias. Instead of fighting to match those lines, use bias cutting to turn them into a deliberate design detail. When you cut a placket, pocket, or yoke on the bias, the check rotates into a diamond or chevron pattern. It's a really classic look, and it draws attention to the lines of the fabric in a way that feels intentional and considered. Turn the matching problem into a design feature, and it looks like care was taken at every step. And if you're working with stripes rather than checks, there's an even simpler version of this trick. Instead of going on the bias, just rotate the pattern piece 90 degrees. If the body of your garment has vertical stripes, cut your yoke or your pockets on the horizontal. It creates a really beautiful contrast detail and sidesteps the matching problem entirely. I cut the placket on my fern on the bias, and in a high contrast black and white gingham, you can really see it. It just looks like a feature of the garment, not a workaround. Yokes and patch pockets are the other big candidates for this treatment. A bias cut back yoke on a check shirt is one of those details that looks really considered without requiring a lot of extra effort. One caveat I want to mention: pieces that need to be really stable, cuffs, collar stands, some placket styles, can stretch out if you cut them on the bias. For those, you might be better off just matching as best you can. If you do cut them on the bias, be sure to interface or stabilize them right away so they don't get stretched out. I learned this one the hard way back when I was a beginner. I lined up a whole seam perfectly at the cut edge, sewed it, and watched the check shift half an inch the second I pressed it open. Turns out I'd been matching the wrong line entirely. When you're matching a stripe or check across a seam, you want the pattern to line up at the sewn seam, not at the cut edge of the fabric. And those 2 lines are not in the same place. There's a whole seam allowance between them. So here's tip number 3. Draw your seam allowances onto your pattern pieces before you cut. Mark the actual seam line on every piece you want to match and align that line to the stripe or check on your fabric, not the outer edge of your pattern. What can happen if you skip this is you lay out your pieces, everything looks perfectly aligned at the raw edge, you sew your seam, and then the pattern has shifted by exactly the width of your seam allowance, which is so frustrating when you've been so careful. Drawing in that seam line ahead of time means you catch it before it happens, not after. There's a related trick I really like too. Because patterns are drafted so that the underarm points meet, you can draw a straight horizontal line connecting those points across your front, back, and sleeve pieces. It's a really quick way to check that all those pieces are going to hit the same stripe or check line at the same point across your body. Your side seam notches work the same way. They're not just for matching pieces together, they're alignment reference points too. I know this next one sounds like it's adding a step, but hear me out because it actually makes the whole matching process a lot more straightforward. Most patterns will have at least one piece that's marked cut on fold, meaning you fold your fabric, place the piece along the fold and cut, and you end up with a mirrored shape. It's faster, and for most fabrics, it works perfectly well. But when you're working with stripes and checks, cutting on the fold makes matching really challenging. Your fabric is folded, so you lose visibility of what's happening underneath, and you lose control of exactly where those lines land. And that's tip number 4. Cut your pieces flat instead of on the fold. When you cut flat, you can see the whole fabric surface. You can place each pattern piece exactly where you want it and see precisely where every stripe or check line is going to fall on the finished garment. And if a piece is marked cut on fold, just trace it out as a full mirrored piece first. It takes a few extra minutes, but it means you have the whole shape in front of you and complete control over placement, which is exactly what you want. There's a really helpful trick to use alongside this too. Before you cut, take a soft pencil and lightly trace the fabric stripe or check pattern directly onto your pattern paper pieces. You're essentially mapping the fabric onto the pattern so you can see at a glance where every line will fall before you make a single cut. It's especially useful for visualizing how two pieces will look once they're sewn together. And here's something that might surprise you. Cutting flat can actually reduce how much extra yardage you need. When you can move pieces around freely and place them exactly where you want, you can often fit them more efficiently than a folded layout allows. That said, do still plan to buy a little extra. For a small scale pattern like a fine gingham, add about half a yard. For a larger scale check, add a full yard. That extra fabric gives you room to experiment, like testing how a bias cut placket will come together before you commit to cutting it on your real piece. By the way, if you want to remember all of these tips when you're actually working on a project, this is exactly why we made the pattern matching cheat sheet I mentioned earlier. It's a quick reference card you can actually use at your cutting table. The link is in the description. This next tip is a technique I use to get a perfectly matched print on a really special dress. And even though that project was a large scale print rather than a stripe or a check, it works just as beautifully here. I had this gorgeous vintage rayon in my stash that I'd been holding onto forever. When I decided I wanted to make something special to wear on stage at Stitch Fest last year, I knew this was the fabric. The only thing was, the pattern I chose, the Kimmy dress, has a seam right down the center front. With a large scale print like that, a mismatched seam would be the first thing anyone noticed. So I decided to match it using the technique I'm about to show you, and it was absolutely worth the extra effort. I loved showing off that perfectly matched seam to all the other sewists I met that day. It's such a small detail, but it made me genuinely proud of that garment in a way that felt really special. Which brings us to tip number 5. Use the lap and edge stitch method. Here's how it works. First, cut everything in a single layer so you have precise control over where every stripe and check lands. Next, sew a line of basting stitches along the seam line of both pieces. This marks exactly where the seam will fall. Then fold one piece's seam allowance under along that basting line and press it crisp and flat. Lap that folded edge over the matching piece so the pattern lines up exactly. You can see precisely what you're getting before you commit to sewing anything. Now use Wonder Tape. It's your secret weapon to hold everything perfectly in place so nothing shifts when you get to the machine. Then just edge stitch along the fold and look how perfectly that matches. This technique works for center front seams, yoke seams, any place where you want that match to be really sharp and visible. It takes a little more time than a standard seam, but once you have these tools in your back pocket, you'd be surprised how many patterns open up to you, including some that you might have been avoiding because of the matching. Now here's the fun part, finding the right project to try these techniques on. Here are a few patterns that are perfect for putting these techniques to work, from great starting points if you're just building confidence, to more advanced options once you're ready to go all in. If you want to start simple, look for patterns with a small number of pieces and a center front seam. The Reed dress is a great example. A clean shift silhouette with bust darts, a high neckline at front and a V-back, finished with a side invisible zipper. Not many pieces, nothing complicated, but that center front seam gives you a really satisfying matching opportunity right away. The arbor skirt is another solid starting point. A full A-line with a center front and center back seam, a bound waistband, and inseam pockets. The construction is approachable, and matching that center front seam on a check fabric looks really intentional. Once you're feeling confident, shirt-style patterns are where stripes and checks really shine because they have all those smaller pieces like yokes and plackets and pocket flaps cups that are perfect candidates for bias cutting. The roan tunic is a classic oversized button-down with a sew-on front placket, 2 chest patch pockets, cuffs, and a center back seam. The front placket, sleeve plackets, and pockets can all be cut on the bias in a check, and the contrast reads as really sophisticated. The time shirt has a similar set of opportunities: a partial front placket, a lined back yoke, sleeve cuffs, and a chest pocket, all of which can go on the bias for a really nice added design element. And if you want the shirt aesthetic with a little more forgiveness built in, the garnet blouse is a pullover blouse with a center front seam, bow tie neckline, and a back yoke. The pullover construction means there's no buttonhole placket to worry about, and those long bow ties at the neckline draw the eye in a way that's very forgiving if your center front matching isn't absolutely perfect. Now is a great time to practice these techniques because fall sewing is just around the corner, and some of the most beautiful check and plaid fabrics for fall happen to be flannels. Watch this video next to find out everything you need to know before you sew with it.